It's time now for us to go to the interview with Mezzoforte's Eythor Gunnersonand.
Hello, this is Eythor Gunnersonand, the keyboard player of Mezzoforte, and you're listening to DJ Goss on Sound Fusion Radio. Oh.
Hello there, is that Eythor?
Yes.
Hi.
Sorry about earlier. I just inadvertently left my phone on silent, so sorry about that.
These things happen. It's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
Not a worry at all. So how are you today?
Okay. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Nice to hear your voice and to talk to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Exceptionally good line with Iceland. That's great.
Sure, fire away.
Okay. Well, Mezzoforte formed in 1977. I think that's correct, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So can you tell us how that came about? I mean, you were quite young, weren't you, when Mezzoforte formed?
Yeah. We were. I was 16 years old at the time myself, and the other guys were sort of ranging from 15 to 17.
Wow.
And I mean, Reykjavik being a small city, the population of Iceland was only about 250,000 or 280,000 people at the time. So Reykjavik was just over 150,000 maybe.
Wow.
So in a small city like that, four guys with an interest in instrumental jazz funk or jazz rock fusion music were bound to find each other. So that's what we did. We just heard of each other and came together.
Wow, that's wonderful. So where did you sort of first start to sort of practice together and play?
Where?
Yeah. Whereabouts? I mean, do you have a local studio, or did you have a school or something?
We started in the guitar player's garage, actually. Or I mean, he lived in his mother's garage, and we had enough space to set up our instruments there. And then eventually we found a bigger garage, and we were just like any other garage teenage band.
Wow. Absolutely great. So do you remember the first time you played in front of an audience as Mezzoforte?
Yeah, I mean there was like a jazz club, or I mean a jazz sort of a society that sort of held these events every now and then, and they asked us to play when we'd been rehearsing for about a couple of months or so.
Yeah. And
I guess the first time we played, we weren't very good. I'm pretty sure. We were playing covers. We were playing songs by anyone from Carlos Santana to a couple of Al Di Meola tracks. I remember we tried our hand at that, and it probably wasn't very good. And to begin with, we just played these sort of small gigs, college gigs, and whatever we could actually. And then gradually we worked our way up to writing our own music. And wound up with a record contract like 2 years after we formed the band. We got a record contract with a local company.
Yes, it was Steiner, wasn't it? Steiner Records?
Steiner Records, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what was it like, being so young and then being signed up to Steiner Records? It must have been absolutely amazing for you.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, again, Iceland was such and still is such a small market, and I mean, as soon as you can sort of, as soon as the band started sort of to get it together, I mean, we were bound to get some attention, and then eventually the manager of Steiner Records heard us play, and he asked us to do some demos, and for some reason he got interested, which, I mean, in hindsight, it's amazing really that he saw any potential in a sort of a teenage band playing instrumental music, but he really had his mind set on getting us out of Iceland, and he was really the sort of the key factor in all of our success.
Well, I mean, look at the result. I mean,
yeah.
He obviously had great vision because, I mean, now, internationally famous. Whenever you talk about jazz funk, jazz fusion, the name of Mezzoforte is synonymous with that genre. So what an amazing thing. Yeah,
I mean, we have to be grateful to that guy for his faith in us, and for his incredible determination and guts, because he started shopping around with our records, taking them to conventions to meet them and places like that, and trying to get us released abroad, and the reaction was generally quite favorable, but understandably, a lot of the bigger companies didn't think it had a lot of commercial potential. So, but he refused to give up. So eventually, he formed his own company in England, or sort of his English branch of his Icelandic company, and he sort of bet everything on us, and wow. In the end, it paid off.
Well, it was well worth him backing, to be honest, then, wasn't it? Because I mean, look at where you are. I mean, the big sort of break here in the UK for you was Garden Party, which got to number 17 in the UK singles charts, didn't it?
Yeah. That was the beginning of the whole thing for us. England, obviously, being the springboard that it is, to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember that coming into the charts here, and it was, we had a lot of sort of jazz, funk, and soul around about that time. It was slightly after sort of the big soul era, if you like, but the jazz funk thing was going on, and your tune came into the charts, and we all just went, wow,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dance hit also, because it crossed over. We were obviously influenced by a lot of the music that was going on at the time, and Earth, Wind and Fire in particular. It's very obvious that Garden Party is influenced by the rhythm of Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yes, without a doubt.
So I mean, that's it. It started to go down well in the discos and the clubs, and then as a result of that, it was requested on radio.
Well, we certainly danced to it here. I mean, it was a big dance tune here in that time, and So, how did that feel when you found out you'd gone into the UK charts? I mean, you must have found out at some point, and how did that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was. We started sort of getting news of the record sort of gradually climbing up the charts, and it was big news here in Iceland. It was national news, because I mean, nothing like that had ever happened for an Icelandic band before.
Fantastic.
We were we were the first ever Icelandic artist to break out of Iceland. So it was, I mean, and the whole nation, or I mean, a great part of it anyway, followed sort of with great interest every week when the new charts arrived, and we just climbed up, higher and higher, and then in the end, it came to the point when we were asked to come over to appear on Top of the Pops, which we did, and then soon after we moved to England, and we did a tour. Our first tour of the UK was 47 concerts in 49 days, which is quite
wow,
quite
47
something.
Concerts in 49 days. How did you survive?
I don't know. I mean, it was like 7 weeks with 2 days off. That's quite an accomplishment. Looking back on it now. I mean.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the amount of energy required for the stage presence and all that kind of thing. I mean, to do that 47 nights with 2 days off. Wow.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
It was amazing, and I mean, especially having come from like we did from Reykjavik, where we played like. We were lucky if we got 2 gigs a month,
Really? Wow.
And usually not for that many people,
That's amazing. I didn't know that statistic. That is awesome. Well done. Who were your other influencers? You mentioned Earth, Wind and Fire. Who else sort of influenced you at a younger age?
I mean, well, a lot of the American jazz fusion artists were a big influence on us. Anything from the great, recently late George Duke. He was a great influence on me personally.
Yes.
And then I mean, Spyro Gyra and Weather Report, Chick Corea's Return to Forever, and bands like that. We listened to a lot of that, and I mean, so much of the jazz fusion music that was happening in America at the time was just. I mean, we just. Listen to anything we could get our hands on from that sort of genre, and then obviously we were also influenced by a lot of the music that was going on around us at the time, like Stevie Wonder. Who hasn't been influenced by Stevie Wonder? And
I think the whole world has been influenced by Stevie Wonder. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what a wonderful influence. I mean, to have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, George Duke. I mean, wow. I mean, we were so sorry to lose him a few weeks back. We had tribute shows here on our station for George, because just a monument to the genre, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that moving forward, so what made you choose the name Mezzoforte? I mean, it's moderately loud in musical terms, but how did you come about choosing it as a name?
Actually, we just we really needed a name because we had a gig coming up, and we'd been playing under sort of a few sort of makeshift names up until that point, and the guitar player was studying classical guitar at the time, so I think it was his idea to just it was his idea, and we thought, it's not bad, and it stuck with us ever since.
Well, I mean, it's a brand now. It's not just a band name. It's a brand as well. I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic written down. That's the nice thing about Mezzoforte. I think it's the double Z. I mean, it just works. When I look at your album covers and so on, I think it it works its way through really, really nicely. So
we're not about to change it.
No, I didn't think you would be. No, not. I mean, you've just celebrated your 35th anniversary last year, wasn't it? 35th anniversary of the band. So I doubt you're going to change it now somehow.
No.
So, did you have any special celebrations at all for the 35th anniversary?
No, not really. No, we played a concert here in Reykjavik, which we don't do very often. But other than that, we haven't really done any special celebration. We did like the DVD we recorded was after the 25th anniversary we recorded this DVD. Yes. Well, actually, no, that was around the time of the 30th anniversary that came out.
Wow.
So we've we didn't do really anything special for the 35th, but I'm pretty sure we'll cook something up for the 40th.
Well, yeah, I definitely think you should. So, are you playing in Reykjavik this year or next year at all? Anything lined up there at all?
No, we don't have anything planned in Reykjavik, but we have some concerts coming up later this year. We have a tour of, like a 2-week tour of Asia in November. We have a couple of gigs in Holland in September. And, we're sort of, our agency is sort of working on booking this year, the rest of this year and next year. We try to play like maybe around 30 or 40 concerts each year. That's our sort of goal.
Well, that's not bad going. I mean, that's more than one every other week. So, I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it? So you say you're playing in Holland in September. Yeah. Okie dokie. I'll have to have a look out for that because Holland's quite easy for us to reach, and I'd love to come and see you. So I might just do that. I might just pop across and come and see you in Holland. That'd be brilliant. And I can check that out. So that's great. Wonderful. So, I mean, you've performed pretty much all over the world, really, and from that point of view, I mean, there must be some pretty amazing places you can tell us about where you've performed or where things have been slightly different to what you're used to, or something. I don't know if you can tell us one or two of those stories at all.
Well, I mean, coming to Japan for the first time in 1984, just was an amazing experience. It was such a sort of an exotic place for us. I mean, at the time, having spent most of our time in Little Iceland up until that point, so that stands out as a very memorable thing, And since then, I mean, we've been to a lot of exotic places. Indonesia was also memorable for the first time, and the Eastern European countries we've been visiting for the first time in the last few years, because I mean they were closed off in the 80s. Before the wall came down, we couldn't go there. So I mean, we've been adding a lot of those countries to our map. I mean, but there's just so many places. I can't really think of any one place that sticks out. But that first time in Japan was very memorable.
Yeah, well, I can imagine it is, and. Coming from a fairly sort of small place like Iceland and then going to, all of these places in the world, it must have been just an amazing journey for you and the guys, I should imagine.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely fantastic. Your sound is pretty unique in the way that you come across. I mean, is there any sort of shall we say, method to Mezzoforte in achieving that sound, or is that just? I mean, you guys sound great live. You know, a lot of people, they sound okay recorded, but live they're not quite so there. But Mezzoforte is like almost better live. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the key to our sound is just, I mean, in the combination of individuals. I mean, our bass player has a very definite style and definite sound, you know, and I guess each one of us has sort of, we found our own way of playing eventually, and I mean, when you put that together, that the outcome is Mezzoforte. It's not really anything that we sort of consciously thought about or cooked up. It just, I mean, it's just, this is what happens when especially when the four of us, the four founders, come together and play. Yes. You know, the outcome's just inevitably the Mezzoforte sound.
Yeah, I mean, your drummer's solid. I mean, Johan on the bass. I mean, he's like a train on the tracks. I mean, absolutely fantastic. You know, and with that and the brass section, you just sound awesome. And you know, I absolutely love your music, and have done ever since, you know, the early '80s when I first heard you, when you first charted here in the UK. I remember seeing you guys on Top of the Pops, and absolutely brilliant, just wonderful.
Oh, thank you. But it's been a while since we played in the UK. I mean, that seemed to close the door on us a while ago.
Well,
and it hasn't been easy to get in again.
That's a real shame. Yeah. We'll have to have a word around people and see what we can do there, because I would love you to come to the UK, and I'm pretty sure that there are, in the, you know, the people that listen to our station would be extremely interested in coming to a concert of yours. So I can't see any reason why that shouldn't happen personally. But there you go. The album that you brought out, Islands. I know it says in your notes that you favoured the grand piano over the keyboard on that one. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, it was just a decision. We have a new lineup now with the two German players.
Yes.
And it's just been, the band has, in certain ways, it's been progressing in a direction to accommodate their sound a little more, you know. And we decided to try a sort of a jazzier approach, if you like, you know, more acoustic. Also, we've tried a few times to play like acoustic sets. We did 3 nights in a jazz club in Berlin, in a place called the Eythor in Berlin. We did 3 nights of just sort of acoustic with me on grand piano and Rhodes, and we enjoyed that a lot. So we decided to try to see what we could do with that sound, or more piano and Rhodes and less of electronic keyboards. So that was just an experiment in that sort of direction.
Yeah, I can see that working extremely well, and it is kind of a natural progression in that sense. I think, I'd love to have a listen to some more of that. I'll have to have a listen more to the Islands CD and get a better feel for the more acoustic side of Mezzoforte. That would be fantastic. Yeah, I'll have to do that. Mm-hmm. So, do you have any sort of tours coming up? You said about Asia coming up fairly soon, and Holland. Is there anything else sort of in the pipeline this year, or is that enough?
No, I mean that's because Mezzoforte is not like a full-time job for us. We're sort of scattered all over the world. It's just like 2 of us here in Iceland now. The drummer is in Budapest, and there's 2 guys in Germany, and now there's 1 guy in Sweden. So yeah. So we come together. We try to condense it to like 3 periods in the year where we do some touring. The rest of the year we're just doing different things. And now we have these just a couple of gigs coming up in September, and then there's a stint in Asia in November. We go to Russia and Malaysia, Thailand, China. There's a few loose ends still to be tied up, but it looks like a pretty interesting and intense 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then we've started work on next year, and there'll be some concerts around Europe next year, and it would be great if we could include the UK in that, but we'll see.
Well, it'd be lovely if you could, and we'd very much look forward to that. So you have any planned releases of singles or albums coming up at all in the next sort of 6 months or so?
No, not in the next 6 months or so. We're still sort of. I guess we'll discuss that. Discuss our recording plans pretty soon. But we'll definitely do something next year.
Sounds absolutely brilliant. So really, that just leaves me with one more thing, Eythor, and that is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners here? I mean, we are a world-based station, but we have a huge, listenership in the UK. So, if there's anything you'd like to say to the UK fans at all, then please feel free to do so. And if there's anything, your Facebook and your website, if you want to, give those a little bit of a push as well, then please feel free to do that as well.
Yeah, I'd just like to say to the UK listeners, thank you for listening to Mezzoforte. We're amazed that after 35 years, there's still people all over the world who seem to be interested in our music. We're extremely grateful for that, and thank you.
Well, we're extremely grateful for your music, and the reason why there's a huge amount of interest in Mezzoforte is because you're absolutely fantastic, and on that jazz funk, jazz fusion tip, there's very little that comes near your style, I believe. That's my own personal opinion, but I am allowed it.
Thank you.
No problem at all. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and it's very much appreciated, and it's been lovely.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
No problem at all. It's been lovely speaking to you, and maybe if you do have a tour or an album release imminently next year or whatever, we would love to speak to you again, and and sort of promote and assist you in what you're doing, because we're very, very interested.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was great talking to you.
And to you too. You have a wonderful Sunday, and thank you very much for sparing the time with us, and take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. There you go. That was the interview with Eythor Gunnarsson of Mezzoforte. He was in Reykjavik at the time, and the interview was conducted over the phone. And it was lovely to talk to him about, all of those angles. I don't think people appreciate, the smallness, if you like, of Iceland compared to the rest of the world. And Mezzoforte have a unique jazz funk sound that, is them, and they have that unique sound. Based on probably the fact that they were quite sort of ring-fenced early on in the development of the band and so on. But over the years, I mean, the international following for Mezzoforte has just gone up and up and up. And talking about tunes that people know, well, there isn't a person on the planet that doesn't know the tune Garden Party, charted here in the UK. That was the tune that Mezzoforte made it to Top of the Pops here in the UK, and I remember it very, very well back in the early 80s. Absolutely fantastic. That was Eythor Gunnarsson of Mezzoforte.
Hello, this is Eythor Gunnarsson, the keyboard player of Mezzoforte. You're listening to DJ Goss on Sound Fusion Radio.